Okay. Is there any action we need to take on the report? Accept the report?
I don't think we need to accept it, or he's just providing us with information.
Shall we move on to the oral business? Yes. The one item of old business is the relocation of precinct 204 to Bass Elementary. We've had some individual discussion about delaying that for this primary, the March 5th primary. And I have written contacts, Fairview and Bass, explaining that we are delaying the precinct transfer. Understanding. I think we perhaps should formalize that here at this meeting, that we have that we will be delaying the precinct change until after the March 5th primary. Is there a motion to that?
I will make, excuse me, I will make the motion to delay the change in precinct location for 2014, 204, until after the March 5th primary. Reason being, cutting it too tight, we're getting approvals from the state.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Against? No. It's passed. Shall we move on to new business?
Yes.
And the update on the precincts located in schools. Dan, do you want to fill
this actually, each of you has begun your process of looking at your schools. So I'll let each of you share whatever report you wish to share on.
What have you heard from the superintendent?
So what I did was I reached out to the superintendent, assistant superintendent, when we realized this was not on their calendar, and asked them to be in touch with the schools and gave them a list of schools that were affected. Asked them to be in touch with those schools and connect with the principal and have the principal and those janitors or whoever else is involved ponder this and be ready for this, and be ready for you guys to interact with them to determine what needs to be done. And I did suggest, I went with David over to the RS Payne. Tried to talk him into taking a virtual day, but didn't seem like they were biting on that one. But anyway, I think I'll let David speak more to it, but I think we have a solution.
Yeah, I only have two schools in my group, Bass being one of them, which is not. And so we went to Dan's meeting with the principal at Payne. And we very nicely identified a room to use as the room for voting off their exit 4, their door 4. And they seemed to be receptive. They were not prepared to think about the March 5th primary to ask them about it. Now they're kind of focused on it. So I think we're ready to go once we get our election officials moving. Okay. Well, have any contact with the schools in your groups?
I did. I visited Bedford Hills, and the principal there has rolling walls, that she can put up in the cafeteria, everything's in the cafeteria. And there are doors on both sides of the area, the end of the room that we'll be using. So I think we'll need a few extra signs there. And I plan to go back and visit with the chief of that precinct so that she knows how they're going to be changed and can guard that wall to make sure voters don't go past that. I also have Leghorn Middle, and the principal there said that they have a contingency plan for, because they had voters before. And there, they vote in the gym, which they could just not have gym today, and you can easily access that parking lot. Not to get too tangled up. Don't go to vote during the time when the buses are there if you don't want to get caught up in the traffic. at either school.
On Monday, Larry Works and I went over to Sheffield. And basically, the accommodation they're making, this is nice music. The, their solution that they suggested, they're just gonna have the students eat in the classrooms. Sack lunches or whatever the cafeteria is gonna do. They'll lock the door between the cafeteria and the rest of the building. You've got two doors in and out that go outside, so it's gonna be the same voting thing. And since the door's gonna be locked into the main school building, they're supposed to have restroom facilities in the kitchen area that our staff can use.
Good.
Roz and I, and Julie went over to Sandusky today, and they have an auxiliary gym that instead of going in the main entrance where we normally set up, you go down the bus lane, and instead of doing the swing around past the building, you just go straight down into the delivery area for the cafeteria. And it's door 6. We also have door 7 and door 8. And there are, they're gonna keep the kids off of that hallway. People will come in door 6, go down the hallway, take a left in there, just through and back out, either back out the hallway or out a different door to a sidewalk that will take them back to that parking area. And they're very amenable to whatever we need and very happy to help us. And I think it's
Who will be putting up the signage?
City.
the city normally puts all that up.
Yeah, so normally it gets broken out between the chief and the city. So the city will help us with some signage. And then the chief will kind of finalize, whatever other sign, it's usually small signs they bring with them. And the city brings the bigger sign. We may want to look at, as you guys have worked out, a different pathway. That might be something that I would want to get feedback from you guys. Should we give that to our city technician so they know, even they might, we might want to bring some of them on the
Yeah.
site visit, go with the chiefs, right? So they have a sense of what this is.
Yeah. I didn't know what we were gonna get, so I couldn't take anybody with me.
Yeah, of course.
But
Now that
it's my understanding that the technicians put out the directional signs to get people to the door.
correct,
And
yes.
then our people put up the signs once they get there.
Yeah.
So, I think the main, at least for my precincts, we will need some extra signage for, Sandusky.
Yeah.
Sheffield, I think will be fine. They just do the same things that they were doing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we need extra signage, it's just, let's make me aware of that. And then
Yeah.
I will talk to them about what we have in store.
Yeah, we can sit down with Google Maps and understand what we're dealing with.
Okay.
Just as an aside on the same topic, if you don't mind, on your calendar in about 2 years, put down a note to contact the superintendent, remind them that we've got a presidential,
Yeah,
when they're planning for,
right.
they're 28, so
Whatever it's worth, it looks like school districts all over the state just,
drop the ball.
just didn't have this thing in place. So a bunch of other registrars are having the same challenge. We do have to run, election during the school day with students, so.
Wouldn't hurt for elect to contact the State Board of Education and say, hey.
Put it in your calendar.
So,
Okay. Anything more on precincts located in schools? Shall we move on to appointment of new election officials, officers? We've been given a list, potentially we are electing of officer candidates to be appointed. We already have existing ones in the other precincts.
right.
We have the ones that we, the numbers. But we extended the appointments of on people who were the last election. And then I have applications from 5 new people that will be to.
And you've interviewed them?
Excuse me?
Have you talked with them?
No.
Okay. Okay.
So what is the action we should be taking today?
I'll make a motion to appoint these, and I will reach out to them and invite them to training.
And I will second the motion to appoint these.
Okay, let's vote on it. All those in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Any opposed? Aye. Okay. Opposed? No. Okay, moving to election officer training schedule. We've already had items about that. Anything more to report on that?
I think just what Betty has actually done the, got the devil in the details here, the list actually, who's coming when. And that's very helpful. Right now, I know we're still finalizing our curriculum, but the plan is to have a PowerPoint, which will talk about details of what people need to be thinking about for this election officers. And then I'm planning to bring full books to the training center and have them out on tables so people are able to actually put the things on and get a sense of what's it going to look like when people come up and get checked in.
And we have gotten, I think Dan provided a lot of it. I think we got some through some other resources where other people have done dual primary training.
Yes.
York County, I've been looking at that. They use a different system than we do, so we'll have to do some editing, but the PowerPoint that we got and some of this paperwork, I think are a great place to start. It's easier to edit than author.
Yeah.
So,
Bounce off of.
yeah, I'm going to try and have something in a little better shape. I do have some questions that I need to ask you about.
Sure.
Some things that they say, I want to check them against the code and run by you before we do that. But I would like to have something available to the board to look at, the next 24 to 48 hours. So that you can go through it and, run any ideas back. And so we'll have our training ready to go.
These sessions are open to the general public.
They're open to election officers.
Well, election officers are required to attend one of them. I don't know that we would have any opposition to the general public attending, so long as we have room for the election officers that are signed up, and as long as we don't keep election officers out for the sake of the general public. I would not be opposed to having the general public come. Who knows, we might even give them applications with recruitment.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I would be reluctant to put someone who's not an election officer on the phone.
Well, no, I'm talking about the lecture.
Yeah,
not the
that'd be my own.
Yeah, only election officers would touch the equipment.
Yeah.
But just so far as attending the lectures and seeing what it is that we're teaching them, I have no problem with the general public knowing that.
Okay, do we have to take any action on election officer training?
One other note while we're talking about this, we have, put on the calendar a full training on Saturday, February 10th. We have six people, seven people signed up for that.
And 5 people we just appointed.
And 5 people we appoint, so that's a good sized class. We'll do that downstairs, in the registrar's conference room downstairs. And I will set up, full books and set up, a chief's table and kind of walk through that. Now, we have a PowerPoint that we have prepared, and my expectation is that we correct it differently. That we will go ahead and display that on the wall, like we did before.
Yeah.
And walk through a 2-hour about the shirt, and then do another.
We're still gonna have to coordinate the dual primary part of that, but I think there are some things that we can probably do a little more quickly.
Yeah.
And get all of it involved.
Yeah, so I say that partly to say, if you want to adjust the curriculum for that particular training for the dual.
That's next week. Let me get to Monday
I
first.
understood. I'm just looking down the road. I'm thinking that that's something we do.
I had already thought of that. Yeah, that'll be next week.
Yeah.
What time on the 10th are we starting?
What time we put?
10 o'clock.
10
That's what I
o'clock?
told people.
Okay, so we're doing 10 to 2?
They-
But depends upon how long it takes to do the hands-on part.
Yes.
Yeah. And remember, for the hands-on part, because it's a dual primary, I don't actually have a dual test election for a dual primary. So I will have sample ballots, so we can, put hands on that, but the sample ballots won't read in the machine. So you can stick them in the machine, but they won't actually be read in the machine.
Well, I think it's more important, that they get time of the poll book.
Yeah.
They set the equipment up, they take the equipment down.
Yeah.
We could probably show them, if we get overvote or undervote tickets off of some of the other things, and say, this is what you'll get.
Yeah.
Just say, sorry, we can't run it for you, but this is
Right.
what you'll get, and this is what you do with it when you get it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
and then there will be chiefs training on, what is that, the week before?
I think Julie just sent Betty a note on when we want to do this, so I don't know if you guys have come through with thought on that
I
yet.
haven't seen the note.
I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
I think it was,
Okay, but
okay.
it has to be within a certain period
yeah, I don't
prior
think
to
it
the
can start
election.
before the 26th, it has to be like that last week or so. I think that was the
Yeah.
starting.
Okay, anything more on training, President? We now open the meeting to public comments. We're adopting a policy on public comments that individuals who attend are given 3 minutes to make public comments unless they're representing an organization, in which case they have 5 minutes. So are there any people who wish to be recognized to make public comments today?
Yes, I have a question. I'm Jeff Rosner on Zoom. I'm the Democratic Party authorized representative. Uh, There was an article in the Cardinal News, I think on January 26th, which said that the Lynchburg Republican City Committee was going to select a caucus as their default nomination method for the city council elections. And my question is, if anyone would like to speculate about what effect this might have on the June 5th city election primaries or on anything else. Thank you.
Any further comments? Hearing, yes, sir.
Comment question. James Gardner, the election officers. So my understanding is that the deputy registrar previous term expired end of June 2023. Also under the understanding that she's still employed by the city, not working. And I'm just curious, you were talking about budget overruns, how much of our budget is going to pay someone who's not present or working still? Why would that be? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Do any of the board members or Dan wish to speak to these two?
I can speak to Jeff's. I don't think it'll have any effect on the June primary because there are other offices up in the primary, other Republican candidates that will be in the primary. So there will be both a Republican primary and I'm assuming there'll be a Democratic primary in June. So I don't know whether it'll affect the number of voters, but there will have to be both a Republican. There will be a Republican primary regardless of how the city council candidates are nominated.
I can speak a little bit to the deputy registrar issue. I think that's, from what I understand, a city personnel matter and not for the board to consider at this time. So there's no action for the board to take at this time. Any other comments? There being none, are we ready to have a motion to adjourn?
We'd be happy to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Favor, please say aye.
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 One opposing. Meeting is